Hello everybody, I'm Kling of Games. This is the very first video on my YouTube channel. I decided to make a YouTube channel because I joined a Monotype draft league. For everyone who's not familiar with what a draft league is in Pokemon, it is a league where everybody takes turn drafting Pokemon and only the people who draft the Pokemon are allowed to use them. So generally you draft 10 to 11 Pokemon, and those 10 to 11 are your Pokemon for the season. And then every week you build a team of 6 to battle with out of your drafted team. This league is a little bit different though, because this league is a monotype league. So every coach has a individual type that they can only use Pokemon of that type, including the dual type Pokemon. So the draft is basically about trying to get the dual types you need without the other types or other coaches grabbing them before you. So I am the poison type coach, and I am the coach of the Cincinnati Crobats. So I'm going to go over just my team, the Pokemon I drafted, and why I drafted each one real quick. So the first Pokemon I drafted is the team mascot, and that is Crobat. Crobat is crazy fast with 130 base speed, and it has a great move pool, including moves like Tailwind, Sunny Day, Rain Dance, Dual Wing Beat, Facade. It gets a great list of moves that not all of them are great in doubles, which this league is. It's a VGC, so it's team of 6 and you bring 4. But Crobat gets an amazing set of doubles moves that I will be utilizing a lot, and it is very versatile, which is why it was the number one pick for me and why I needed to get it. The second pick is Nihilego, which I'm hoping I'm saying that right. If not, someone let me know if anyone watches this. Nihilego is basically a monster on the special side and paper thin on the physical side. I had to grab this one early because there is a rock type trainer, and I know for a fact that Nihilego was going to be at the top of his list with me being poison. So Nihilego gets a great combination of Power Herb and Meteor Beam to instantly boost its special attack by 1 and then hit the opponent with a 120 base power move. It is 90% accurate, so it doesn't always hit, but it's a gamble that's worth taking, especially with Pokemon like Nihilego. And then its only ability is Beast Boost. So if that Meteor Beam with the +1 knocks out, then you immediately go to +2, and you can just snowball the whole game from there. That combined with Tailwind from Crobat can make Nihilego just roll over teams if they're not prepared for it. That being said, if they have any ground type physical moves, it is instantly dead, so I have to play around that. The third Pokemon I got, is Toxicity. Toxicity is electric poison, and again, there was an electric type coach, and Toxicity is my only option for an electric type, so I had to grab it early. It's not too great on the stat side. It has great special attack and decent speed, good attack, but it has a great ability in Punk Rock, which multiplies all of its sound-based moves by 1.3, and then you can also throw a throat spray on it to instantly give it a +1 when it uses one of its special attacks. And the special attacks it gets are Overdrive, Hyper Voice, and Boom Burst. All of these moves are very powerful, especially Overdrive with its stab, and Boom Burst, which unfortunately hits its ally as well, so I probably will not be using that a whole lot. But it can be a good nuke to throw on the opponent, and regardless of its speed, again, it matches with Crobat with Tailwind, so Toxicity, even though it's not the fastest, should be able to attack first if I get Tailwind up. And it's important to note there is no Grass or Fairy type trainer, so there's no Whimsicott throwing around Prankster Tailwinds, so other than one other Pokemon, Crobat will be the fastest Tailwind around. So there's only 1 week where I'll really have to worry about not being the fastest. The fourth pick is Dragalge, who is Poison Dragon, and again, there was a Dragon trainer, so I had to grab him. Dragalge it's not too great on special attack, and it has horrible speed, but that's a good thing for us because we'll be using it almost exclusively under Trick Room. But the special attack, even though it's 97, not great but not terrible, it gets an ability called Adaptability, which changes stab from 1.5 to 2. So its neutral hitting stab attacks will basically be super effective. And then has a great move pool with water type moves, dragon type moves, poison type moves, ghost type moves, electric type moves. It should be able to hit pretty much anything at least decently hard. So it'll be a good option under Trick Room. The next Pokemon I drafted was Slowking Galar, which is newly poison. It's one of the new ones introduced with the DLC. Slowking is important because it's a Psychic type, so when we face the Psychic type team, it'll only be hit neutral by Psychic type moves, unlike every other Pokemon on my team, which will be instantly killed by them. It has 3 great abilities. One of them is kind of risky with Curious Medicine because it doesn't really synergize with Nihilego very well, because Nihilego is all about boosting its stats over and over. So Slowking and Nihilego really can't be brought together if I have Curious Medicine, because then I'll just wipe out all my progress. But it could be good with a physical attacker that gets intimidated, or if someone throws around Eerie Impulse on my special attackers. Own Tempo, which is really, really good. Unfortunately, it's not going to get the Intimidate boost because Slowking's attack is atrocious, but not being confused is great, and there are a couple synergized strategies that I could do with Own Tempo, but I'm not going to go too into them right now. And lastly is Regenerator, which is the one I'm most likely going to use every time, because every time you switch it out, it gains 1/3 of its health back. So it can be very good about sticking around for the long game and not getting whittled down. And then it's got some really good moves, got some support moves. Unfortunately its signature move, where is it? Eerie Spell will probably not be used a whole lot. Removing 3 PP from the target's last move is really good in singles, because those games go on for, 60 turns. But VGC, there's really not going to be a whole lot of use for this, unless the opponent's packing like a 5 PP move, then it could be useful. But for the most part, that's not going to get a whole lot of use. But it's got a great move pool with Ice, Water, Ghost, Grass, Fire, Fighting. It gets pretty much any kind of coverage that you would need, and it gets Scald, which is fantastic because Scald burns things like crazy, and we're going to be facing a lot of physical attackers this season. The next Pokemon I got was a Reach, because I talked to the water trainer after, and he said that Quillfish was not even on his board, but I drafted Quillfish because almost entirely it has Intimidate, and it's my only Intimidate option with Arbok not being in Sword and Shield. Other than that, Quillfish is kind of bad. Terrible special defense, terrible special attack. Decent defense, especially with Intimidate. It can do a little bit there. Its attack is okay, but it's not going to be threatening anything. But it does get Scald, which we talked about before, and Acid Spray, which Acid Spray is going to be a staple of my team this season because it is it's attacking move, so it can't be taunted, and it lowers the target's special defense by 2, so that the next special attack that hits them will be double damage. So that's going to be great with Nihilego, with Toxicity, with Dragalge, with a whole lot of my team. Acid Spray is going to do just a little chunk of damage, which is really good because it also breaks Focus Sashes. But then the next move is just going to destroy Pokemon. So those two are going to be some great moves, and I don't know if I want to give this away right now, but it also gets a very risky move called Acupressure, which randomly raises an ally's stat by 2. So it's kind of a roll the dice, but if I'm in a pinch situation and I need a certain stat, I can try to raise it and just hope for the best. This could keyword could synergize really well with all my attackers, because there's a chance that it will raise their attacking stat by 2, and that could make or break a game. The next Pokemon I drafted is Vileplume. It's important to note that the draft has a limited points available, and every Pokemon uses up certain points. Unfortunately, Venusaur which would be your normal chlorophyll grass user, is very, very expensive. It was 100 points out of 500 total, so I really couldn't afford to get Venusaur and another Pokemon that I really needed. So I took discount Venusaur, which is Vileplume. Vileplume is not nearly as fast as Venusaur, but it actually has better special attack and it has comparable bulk. So even though it's not going to be as fast, with Crobat supporting with Tailwind and Sunny Day, Vileplume still shouldn't really have any issues outspeeding. The main reason you want Vileplume or Venusaur if you're playing regular VGC is Sleep Powder. Sleep Powder is a fantastic move, especially with their speed. Unless the opponent is Grass type or wearing safety goggles, then you have a very good chance of putting them to sleep and not having to deal with them for a couple turns. It also gets Solar Beam, which I'm planning on using a pretty good amount because Crobat can set up Sun for it. If I can't see a situation where I'm going to get Sun up, Energy Ball is a good option. Giga Drain's a good option, wherever that is. Giga Drain's a good option, there it is. And it also gets a move that you wouldn't really expect on Vileplume, but I've used it actually in VGC a lot, is Moonblast. So Moonblast is a great Fairy type move, and it also it has a 30% chance to lower the special attack of the target by 1. So if we run into dragons or dark types, then Moonblast is going to be a great little niche move that Vileplume can bust out, and with its great special attack, it's going to do pretty considerable damage. The next up is a Pokemon that if there was a ground type trainer, it would have been a higher priority, but there's not. So I had exclusive drafting rights to Nidoking or Nidoqueen, but I chose King because it has the better special attack. Now the really good thing about Nidoking is that it gets Sheer Force, which increases all attacks with secondary effects by 1.3 and nullifies the effects. What's really interesting is if you throw a Life Orb on it, Life Orb also increases damage by 1.3, but when you combine these two, you do not get the 1/10 off your health that Life Orb usually gives you. So with Life Orb and Sheer Force, you're getting both those 1.3 multipliers without losing your health, which is amazing. And again, with Crobat being what should be the fastest Tailwinder around in this league, is Nidoking will not really have to worry about being outsped. So it'll be able to get off giant nuke attacks without really having to worry about getting outsped and losing, going down without at least taking something with it. And it also gets a really, really, really good move pool. So it gets Blizzard, it gets Dragon Pulse. Dragon Pulse we probably won't use because it doesn't have the effect, so it doesn't get the Sheer Force boost. But it gets Earth Power, which is an amazing stab, and it will just destroy Pokemon. Fire Blast, which has that 10% chance to burn, which doesn't normally come into play, but with Sheer Force it just makes it into an even better move. Focus Blast, which also gets the boost. Ice Beam gets the boost. One thing to note is that moves that have an automatic effect that happen every turn do not get the boost. It's only for moves that have a conditional effect. So moves like Stomping Tantrum, which doubles the power if the user's last move failed, that is not an ability. That is not a additional effect that increases with Sheer Force. So Stomping Tantrum will not get that boost, which is why even though Nidoking has better attack than special attack, probably going to be running special attack most games, because even though it's got 17 difference here with the Sheer Force and Life Orb and more special attacks having effects, Nidoking will get more use out of its special attack than its attack stat. The next up is the one that, this is why I can't afford Venusaur, was because I got Amoonguss. So Amoonguss is quite simply the best support Pokemon in the game. It gets Regenerator, so it can keep coming in and out. It gets Rage Powder, which is Follow Me, unless the opponent is Grass or has the safety goggles on. And it gets Spore, if I spell it right. It gets Spore. So Spore is kind of like Sleep Powder, except it never misses. It's 100% accurate. So while Vileplume we got a 75% chance to miss, Amoonguss will always put something to sleep. Again, unless it's Grass or wearing safety goggles, which is also good information if that ends up failing. And then another good support move it gets is Pollen Puff. Pollen Puff is a bug type move that if it targets the foe, it's a 90 base power move, which is really good. If it targets an ally, it heals 50% of their health. So it is simultaneously a decent attack and a fantastic support move. So Amoonguss, for most weeks, unless we're running into the Ice or Psychic type trainer, will be a must bring and will really, really pull the team together. It'll let me do setup. It'll let me put stuff to sleep that's going to be annoying, especially if we set up Trick Room with Slowking. So Amoonguss should be one of the most brings. It may not really show up on the stat sheet when we have our kills and KOs, but it'll still be indispensable for the team. One of the last two is Drapion. So Drapion, I went back and forth on whether she'd Skuntank or Drapion. Skuntank has a little bit better support moveset, but Drapion has better stats overall. It can outspeed more things, it's got better defense, it's got better attack. It should be a really, really good Pokemon, especially the main reason I had to get a Dark type was for there is a Psychic type trainer. So if I didn't get a Dark type, then we would get rolled over immediately and there wouldn't really be much of a match. But Drapion at least gives us a chance. It's got two really good abilities, one ability that sucks. If we're in a situation where we need to take more hits, Battle Armor is going to be the way to go because it can't be critical hit. If we need to do damage, then Sniper is a great ability because it increases the damage of critical hits. So it's kind of conditional and it's not always going to pay off, but it gives it that nice little boost that if we need a KO and we're rolling the dice on a critical hit, then Sniper is going to basically increase that range that we can get and get a KO. The last Pokemon is Toxicroak, and Toxicroak was kind of a throw-up at the end. I was thinking about getting Haunter. Unfortunately, Gengar was taken by the Ghost Trainer first round, so there was no hope of me getting it. But Toxicroak has a nice little niche. It has an ability Dry Skin. So Dry Skin heals it in the rain, and instead of taking damage by water-type moves, it actually healed 1/4 by them. So we're going to be facing a water-type trainer and an ice-type trainer with Lapras. So even though Toxicroak is kind of bad, it's got good attacking stats, decent speed, but its defenses are atrocious. So it's really not going to survive too long. But if we're in a situation where, Nidoking or Nihilego are looking at trying to eat a water-type move and probably not going to, probably going to get knocked out, Toxicroak can switch in for him, not only just tank the damage, but also get healed by it. And then Toxicroak also has a pretty decent moveset. I've never really used Toxicroak before, but it should be pretty interesting to try and use. It gets Power Up Punch, so if we're in some situation where, for whatever reason, Toxicroak is going to stick around for a while, Power Up Punch increases its attack every turn that it uses it. And then it gets great moves like Poison Jab, it gets Sucker Punch, it gets Throat Chop, it gets Taunt, which could be really useful. And it also gets some decent support moves like Swagger and Flatter, which both of these moves, they work similarly but opposite. Swagger increases the target's increases the target's regular attack by 2 and confuses it. And Flatter increases the target's special attack by 1 and confuses it. So Swagger will be really good for special attackers because we don't really want to give a physical attacker a boost, even if it's going to confuse it, because it's only a 1/4 chance to hit itself in confusion. We don't really want to give them basically nuke damage in exchange for a 1/4 chance to hit them. But with a special attacker where increasing the attack's not going to do a whole lot, then Swagger can actually be really good because when you hit yourself in confusion, your attack stat determines how much damage it does. So even though special attackers don't have great attack, if we increase it by 2, then the confusion damage is still going to do a pretty good chunk of damage. And then Flatter is going to be the move we use for physical attackers because it's going to increase the special attack by 1, which doesn't really affect the confusion damage, but it means that their attack doesn't get increased and it gets confused. So it's preferable to Swagger on physical attackers. But that's basically Toxicroak. It also gets one other great move that I'll probably use if I bring it, and that's Feint. Feint is a priority move that nullifies Detect, Protect, and the Guard moves. So if I'm in a situation where I'm going to have to choose if I think that the opponent's going to protect, a lot of the times you kind of have to target around it and hope that it protects and doesn't knock you out. With Feint, if I think the opponent's going to protect, and it's something that I have to get off the field right away, then I can use Feint, which damages the opponent slightly with its 30 base power, but importantly drops the protect. So something that hits harder like Nidoking or Nihilego or Toxicity can just ignore that protect and knock it out and save me a headache. So I'm hoping we bring Toxicity. Again, I've never used it in VGC, so there's probably a reason for that. It's probably really bad, but it's an interesting Pokemon, and I'm looking forward to bringing it. But that's basically my team. My first match is against the Ice-type trainers. So there's the Arctivish Athletics, which has a very scary team. The big ones I'm worried about are Glastrier, because it's Glastrier. Lapras G-Max, because of the automatic Aurora Veil, even without Hail, which scares me because Crobat doing Sunny Day isn't going to save me there. And then Mamoswine, which isn't that fast, and we have the Tailwind on our team, so we should hopefully be able to outspeed it. But it gets 3 great abilities, it hits super hard, and it has a lot of resistances, so that's going to be a tough one to take out. And then the Arctozolt and Arctivish, which are both, they're not very good in VGC, but that's because Hail isn't very good. But they both have Slush Rush, which doubles their speed, and then they also both have moves Bolt Beak for Arctozolt and Vicious Rend for Arctivish, that the power for the move doubles if it goes first. So combined with their Hail Setters and Slush Rush, that kind of gives me fits. But hopefully my team can, I can come up with a strategy to negate those while also dealing with the horse, which is terrifying. But yeah, this is my first video for YouTube. I'm hoping you guys come back, and next week will be the first game of the season against the Arctivish Athletics. Hopefully we do well, but I'll let you know either way. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in Pokemon or VGC, I'm planning on also posting videos for all my battles this season for the Draft League, and also posting videos for regular VGC and Little Cup VGC. So if you're interested in any of that, please consider subscribing and liking the video. Thank you.